What's up guys, and welcome back to my F1 2017 career mode, and we are here for round number 5 in season 6 for the Spanish Grand Prix. A very wet Spanish Grand Prix, should I add, and based off of the past experience, this isn't really a good sign for us, or a very good omen. So I'm going into this practice session a little bit skeptical, to be honest. But either way, thank you guys for the response on the return of career mode in the last episode, and hopefully we can go again here today and try and match that response and try and get this series back up and running. But as you can see, meanwhile in Friday practice in the background, most of it was in the wet except for the qualifying performance test, which I actually did in the dry, and I couldn't do it in the dry. I was just shy of getting the green score, but I just really couldn't match it. The pace just wasn't there. However, I wasn't too downbeat because the car felt pretty good. There is heavy rain expected for the race, so with that in mind, I've gone for more of a wet setup because we struggle so much with this car in the wet conditions. So what I've done is I've gone for some very high aero on the car, around about 9 or I think 10 on both the front and the rear wing, and also a very high ride height at the rear of the car. So basically, we're going for a very high downforce setup to really try and grip up through the corners and hope that helps us out in the race. But that's going to mean in this qualifying session, which is in the dry, we might struggle a bit in straight line speed. But luckily, our OP's power unit should come into play, hopefully. That's the plan. So hopefully we can have a good session here today. And straight away in Q1, as you can see, we do go fastest there at the time, but then people would improve elsewhere, and we would eventually finish in 8th place in Q1 there, with Massa also getting through in 10th place. Lewis Hamilton, the only man to go from the medium compound tyres. But in Q2, obviously, we are going to go to softs again because the race is going to start in the wet, so there's no point in qualifying on a slower tyre. So we're going to see how we fare here as we go a little bit of a tank slapper on the exit of turn, I think it was turn 4 there, and then through the second sector, about a second down or so on Kimi Raikkonen, and one more sector to go through the final corner. And I think this lap is going to see us through in P6 for the session, I believe. And that sees us comfortably through into Q3. So far, I was pretty confident. The car felt pretty good. I was pretty grippy through the corners thanks to my wet setup. But you can see there, P6, over a second off the pace, quite far off to be fair. And then Massa actually gets through as well in P9. So double Q3 for Williams, which is very good for us. And hopefully we can push on here and try and have a good result in Q3, which is exactly what we're going to do as we go on board for our one and only lap in this session. Now, as we make our way down to turn 1, you look for just after the 100-meter board break down a 4th gear. Really try and use all of the track available to you. Through here, turn 2, very tricky, lose the back end. Very, very easy to do so be very careful. And also flat out through turn 3, get through the gears. And so far, a very good first sector as we now go into turn 4, 4th gear corner. And you can either keep it in 4th or short shift to 5th. I'll go for the short shift method. And then down to turn 6, down to 3rd gear, picking up the apex at a later stage. And focusing entirely on our exit speed, which is critical through here. And then through the kink and into the chicane of 7 and 8. Very important to throw the car in and have the confidence to really have the front and the back end stick on you. And then through turn 9, almost flat, a little bit of a lift through there. I know the top teams can go flat out, we're not quite flat there. And then through the second sector split, braking hard into the hairpin of turn 10. 3rd gear corner, turning a little bit too early there, which isn't ideal. And I'm now going to feed the car into the final sector here, and so far it's looking like a pretty average lap, over a second off the pace on Sebastian Vettel already, as we now go into the final sort of chicane section of the lap, using all of the curb and all of the track available to us to really try and push the car aggressively through there. And then finally through the final corner, opening up the DRS, and across the line, what is the lap time going to be? I think it's going to be P9, I think it might be, yes, P9. So P9, and the question is, who did we beat and who behind did we finish? And it's going to be P9 just in front of a Massa, so that's not too bad. So at least we beat our teammate only just within a tenth of a second between the difference there, and then a pretty respectable margin to the rest of the field. But the 5 biggest teams in the grid right now get in the top 10 spots, so it sort of makes sense, as Catalunya does normally determine the pace of the cars. So Vettel takes pole for Ferrari, and Ferrari are miles ahead of anybody else around here, so I'm pretty happy with P9, that's not too shabby. But we are now going to move into Sunday for a very, very wet Sunday and Spanish Grand Prix for round 5 of the season in the season 6 of career mode. Right, so here we are then for race day at a very, very soggy Catalunya, and compared to qualifying, we have been promoted by a position, and we are now starting from P8 compared to P9. I think someone got a penalty in front of us, which is good news because it does mean we do go forward in terms of a row on the grid. But Like I said, it's very, very soggy here today. A lot of rain, and the rain expected throughout the entirety of the Grand Prix. So that's going to make strategy fairly straightforward for us today. And the objective is pretty simple. I'm not confident with the wet. This car does not work at all. I've actually prepared for this race, and I've actually gone for a very, very wet setup with a lot of high aero to try and compete with some of the guys around us. So in terms of the strategy for today, as you can see, a one stop with it looks like a pretty heavy tyre wear, to be fair, on the full wet tyres. So that's something to keep in mind there. If we are going to go for the one stop, it's going to have to be very, very easy on the tyres, otherwise we could be paying the price ultimately with tyre wear. But also fuel wise, we're going bang on with the 33 laps, no more and no less. So I'm looking forward to it. If the car performs in these wet conditions, then I've got good confidence we can get a good result here today. But we'll see how the race pans out. So let's jump straight into now for round number 5 for the Spanish Grand Prix. Right then, here we go. We're going to get ready to the 5 red lights for Catalunya. And it's lights out and away we go in the heavy rain conditions here. And it's a pretty good start. No wheel spin, so that's pretty good. And the second phase of the start is not too bad. It's not great. We were losing a couple of places now to Massa, and also got Sainz and Hulkenberg there. As we go to turn 1, Hulkenberg very aggressive on the brakes, making a nice move up the inside. We've been hung out to dry on the curbing here, and so far it's not a great start. Losing 2 places, Felipe Massa in front. I just get off the throttle there because otherwise I would have hit the back of my teammate. We've just about slipped past him there, back end all over the place, but we are going to slip past Felipe and try and go for the move. But I was going to go on the brakes there, but Hulkenberg is covering the inside line. We've still got Massa on our outside, but I'm going to try and get the power down a bit earlier on here. Verstappen and Hulkenberg still going side by side here, and I'm going to try and swing back underneath, pick up some traction. Can we get it? Yes, we do. We're going to get on the outside of Nico Hulkenberg here. Very little room. I'm going to try and go around the outside of the German. Can we pull it off? Yes, we do. Brilliant move. And we're back up into our starting position. So very good overtake there on Nico Hulkenberg. And now let's see what our pace is like. You could just see in the overtake how effective the high aero was in trying to make that move. And it really paid off having such a high wing. So hopefully that will pay dividends for us in this race, because straight line speed wise, even though the aero is very high, the fact that our power unit is the best on the grid, that should hopefully make up for straight line speed in itself. So let's translate into this race. It's going to be a very long 33 laps. So let's see how this all unfolds. Oh, we've got a car going off on the left hand side there. Daniel Ricciardo, who's I think he's locked up into turn 1. I don't think he's retired. I think he's just locked up there. But Ricciardo running deep into turn 1. That's going to promote us up into 7th place now, so that's good news for us, and another place there. So let's continue on here. So far the car does feel pretty good, so let's see if we can try and maybe catch up to Verstappen here. Okay, heavy rain is going nowhere, so that's going to stick around for a little while. Also, meanwhile, pace is still good, setting personal best, keeping a comfortable gap to the cars behind. Verstappen is pulling away slightly, but I think this could be a pretty straightforward race. Not a great amount of overtakes, I think, if the pace is like this. All I can see really is strategy-wise who goes on a 1 and who goes on a 2 stop, basically. That's going to dictate how this race is going to go, to be honest. But I mean, if we finish here, I wouldn't be too disappointed. But realistically, I'd like to see some action, some overtakes for the video. But I can't really see that happening at the moment. I've been quiet for so long, but I can tell you I'm working so hard here to stay concentrated. I'm really... You know, I can tell I shouldn't be as high as this in these conditions. This car is struggling in the wet, and I'm really outperforming it to the best of my ability, and I'm really just having to concentrate and give it 120% focus to make sure I make no mistakes, because one wrong move and you're toast like there. If I just tap that white line a little bit more, I'm gone. So I'm really having to just focus here and concentrate hard. The guys in front have just found another level of pace, and Verstappen is on his way. I think Verstappen and whoever the guy in front of him is, they're actually chasing down the 2 cars in front who don't seem to be going as fast. Meanwhile, I'm keeping Hulkenberg comfortably behind, and I think Massa's behind Hulkenberg, but I do think it comes down to the fact that AI are just very good in the wet conditions, because I don't consider myself a bad driver in the wet. I consider myself a very good driver in these conditions, but I'm just driving to the best of my ability, and I just cannot touch the AI. They're just too quick. Okay, I'm going to come in now on this next lap. Lap 16 is going to be the lap we pit. I've had enough of these tyres, and as you can see, I've pretty much pushed them to the braking point. No one in the top 6 is coming for a 2-stop strategy, so I was sort of forced to hang out with a 1-stop, otherwise we are going to finish miles behind. I'm starting to form a bit of a 4-car train behind me. Admittedly, Hulkenberg has not entered the 1-second window, but I feel like it's inevitable. I think on fresh tyres I'm a little bit faster than the warm ones, so when I get new wets on at the end of this lap I'm going to try and push to try and pull away from the guys behind, but I definitely think the guys in front are out of reach now unless they have a car problem. Right, here we go through the chicane. We're going to come in for our first and only stop of the race here, trying to really navigate the car through there. And I'm getting used to these conditions though. I feel like I'm very competitive. I do like driving in the wet. I feel like I'm a very good driver in these conditions. It's just the AI seem to be OP in these for some reason, and I can't really touch them, especially in qualifying when they seem to have that glitch where they find like a whole second after the checker flag has dropped. So if it's a wet qualifying, I just can't compete because they're just too good. But in a race, it's a different ball game. You know, I've got more of a chance. It's a bit more, the playing field is a bit more leveled out, so it gives me a better chance of trying to compete. And overall, I actually get a chance to enjoy it more. Either way, focusing on action now, we are in P9, having already done our stop, so we are going to comfortably get points here today. The question is, can we do anything else? I mean, realistically, unless there's a retirement, a safety car, VSC or car problem from the guys in front, I think P7 is the best we can achieve today, so let's aim to bring those points home, really. Okay, Carlos Sainz comes in, as does Felipe Massa, so we're going to inherit our P7, and yeah, let's see where this race takes us now. Okay, so far it's all looking pretty good for us, and still setting some competitive laps. We are actually catching Verstappen a little bit. I think he's got some lap traffic, but if you look at the engine there, you can see the control electronics floating around 75% wear, and this is power unit number 1, which I'm using. I've used this all weekend because I knew the rain was coming, so normally in the rain you can sort of use an older engine and get away with it because it's not so power dependent, and it's actually probably better for the conditions because you get less wheel spin. So we're trying to get to the end on this engine, which is definitely starting to struggle for wear now, but I've definitely chosen a good opportunity to try and use the last bit of it up. Oh, virtual safety car, Esteban Ocon out of the race, and there we go. That's what I was talking about. That was the only way we was going to gain some positions, and there we go. We are now up at the P6 thanks to Esteban Ocon's retirement, so that is very good news for us, and we're now up at the 6th place, which is absolutely incredible, so really good for us, that is. Right, I think we've found why I gained a place from penalties elsewhere. The man who's behind Nico Hülkenberg is Lewis Hamilton, and he's in P8, and that's the reason we started from 8th place this race. So Hamilton is on the charge, and we're going to be battling with him very soon. I do apologise for such a boring race, but it's just one of them ones where the conditions just don't really allow for a lot of overtaking. Hamilton can't actually pass Hülkenberg as of right now, so that's just giving me, doing me a massive favour and just giving me more time to try and retain this 6th place. But they're definitely closing to me slowly. They're catching up bit by bit, and that could get pretty intense towards the last couple of laps. Okay, on to the final lap of this race. It's been a very, very long 33 laps, and Hülkenberg has pretty much caught me up, but I feel pretty confident I can bring this one home. Right, here we go through the final few corners now. You can see on screen how warm my tyres are. I believe these are actually a scrub set from practice, so they weren't even fresh from what I can remember. So with that in mind, that is a pretty good job on those tyres, and also engine wear wise, as you can see on screen, control electronics now getting to the danger zone, but we've made it. We're going to limp home, and it's going to be a brilliant P6, one of my best ever drives in the wet, and I'm really, really happy I went for the wet setup because it really paid off, and we was able to defend our position there. But a brilliant race, 6th place to cap it off, and we managed to do that with power unit 1, which is also a very big achievement. But overall, that was a very long race. I'm going to need a nice little break after that one because that felt like it lasted forever. That felt like a 100% race instead of a 50. So a nice little break after that one. But overall, still an enjoyable race. I really I'm proud of how consistent and how fast I was driving considering the car and the circumstances. So very happy with that. And overall, one of our best performances of the season, and a well-deserved, I believe, 8 points. So that's going to be very welcome indeed for us and also the rest of the team. As you can see there, as we get out of the car, helmet looking absolutely sublime. And yeah, P6, very good result. And Massa, I believe, finished in P9. So double points finish for us as a team. And as you can see, Kimi Räikkönen wins it for Ferrari ahead of his teammate Sebastian Vettel. Sergio Perez not too far behind in the other Force India, or the one Force India, because Ocon, the former championship leader, retired from the race. So overall, a pretty standard race here. Not much of an eventful one. Not a single overtake, I believe, after the first lap. But we're now going to move into the final race results, drivers and constructors standings. Right, so looking at the final race results, Kimi Raikkonen wins the Spanish Grand Prix ahead of his teammate Sebastian Vettel, and Sergio Perez rounds out the podium with Valtteri Bottas in P4 ahead of Max Verstappen, and then we come home in a brilliant P6 ahead of Hamilton, Hülkenberg, and also my teammate Felipe Massa there in P9, with Alonso scoring a point in his home race there. Daniel Ricciardo only managing P13, and also further down the order you can see that we have two retirements in the form of Ericsson and the championship leader Esteban Ocon, who is no longer the championship leader. Sebastian Vettel takes the lead at the top of the pile with his teammate Raikkonen 5 points behind him, and Raikkonen 2 points ahead of Ocon, and also Hamilton as well there. So that top four incredibly close in the championship as we overtake Felipe Massa in the driver's standings there. And also in the constructors you can see that we remain in 5th place, only 6 points adrift of Red Bull now though, which is very good to see. And Ferrari take the lead of the constructors quite convincingly, and in the last 2 races Ferrari really stepped it up, and they've made up for the very poor first couple of races of the season. But we're now going to move into the laptop. Okay, so at the laptop, and keeping in mind it's time to go to Monaco next, we are going to go for a chassis upgrade, and we are going to go for the weight reduction on the engine cover and try and improve our chassis situation. So we're going to buy that one, and that should arrive from Monaco, 900 resource points there, and then also we will eventually buy the cockpit padding as well, and that will be the end of the minor upgrades in the chassis department. And then also I do want to get the 2 remaining minor ones also in the engine, and then all we will have left in all parts of the car are major or ultimate upgrades. So those will have to be points that we have to save up and also strategically purchase, but I want to get the minor ones finished because those mean the most immediate and quick performance boost. So we're going to try and have that one on the car for the next race in Monaco, which will get us a little bit closer to Red Bull around a track that, you know, you need the car to work for you around there. And I'm confident with our very strong power unit, as you can see here, the best power unit, or second best now, is forcing to bring a major upgrade. With our power unit, obviously I feel pretty confident that we can do a good job around there, and we can max out the aero to 1111 and try our absolute best. But nonetheless guys, if you have enjoyed this episode of Career Mode, then please do slap a like on the video. Let's try and smash 250 likes for this episode guys, and also if you're new on here, why not subscribe to the channel if you're new for plenty more F1 content in the near future. Also please do check out these videos on screen right now if you have missed them by chance, and also please do check out GT Omega in the links down below in the description. Use the code TOM97 for a 5% discount on any of your purchases. But other than that guys, thanks for watching. Let's see you in my next video very soon. Goodbye.